It's going to be hard work to survive in the Amazon world.
The biggest names in e-commerce share tricks of the trade, from tools and software to strategies and growth hacks. Learn from the best and take your business to the next level.
What are the actual tactical things that you're doing to attract people?
Now your host, JD Krause.
Hello and welcome back to e-commerce in the trenches. This is JD Krause, and today I'm excited to have Brett Curry on our podcast. Brett is with OMG Commerce. Welcome, Brett.
Hey, JD. How's it going, man? Really excited to be here.
Yeah, it's going great. Where are you calling in from? Where are you at?
I am in Springfield, Missouri. So southwest corner of Missouri, about 2.5 hours from KC. I always joke that it's the e-commerce capital of Southwest Missouri. And so for whatever that's worth, but yeah, we're Springfield, Mo. Nice. Do you have Lambert's in Springfield? Yes. So I believe it's the original, or maybe the original is in Sykeston, I don't remember, but it's the home of the throwed rolls. So
yes.
You go to Lambert's and there's a guy or gal walks around with this big cart of rolls, and you hold your hand up and they'll chuck it across the room to you. And the place is packed. It holds like 200 people. You know, you go on a Tuesday night, Wednesday night, it's always packed. I mean, we go like once every couple of years, but
well,
yeah,
you're a skinny guy.
It's actually in Ozark, Missouri, but just down the street.
Yeah, well, you're too skinny to go there very often. I mean, you're in really good shape. I just saw you a couple weeks ago in LA at the Content and Commerce event, which I want to talk about.
Thanks. Yeah.
And I love Lambert's. I used to compete at Sykeston, Missouri at the rodeo there. And, it would always be, it was like end of July, I think. And oh my God, it was hot in Sykeston. And we would go to Lambert's and there would be big old farmers in there with bib overalls just chowing down. You know, they totally do. You just holler and they'll throw a roll at you, and then they bring a big tub of molasses out and a tub of honey and just glop it on your wax paper right in front of you, and then fried potatoes with onions. And I mean, you want to talk about just have a heart attack right there. I mean,
exactly. It's an experience, and you described it perfectly. And I think holler is the right word, because that's what people do when they're in Lambert's. But yeah, everything is all you can eat, and it's redneck insanity. Good tasting food.
Good. That's cool. Well, I always like to get a taste of the local cuisine, and so I've definitely taken advantage of that. So, e-commerce in the trenches, we talk about attracting, converting, and retaining great customers. Tell me, I'm a client of yours. Boulder Band has been a client of OMG's, full disclosure, for I don't know, a year going on.
Yeah, a little more than a year.
More than a year.
Thank you. By the way, it's been awesome working with you guys. Love your brand.
Yeah, thank you. So I know a lot about what you guys do, but tell me a little bit about your origin story, how you have gotten to the place where you are today, doing what you do, and then we'll talk a little bit about what channels are working great right now for your different clients, attracting, converting, and retaining.
Yeah, I love it. It sounds good. So I actually discovered a love for marketing while I was going to college. So in college, got a job at a radio station with a guy that I knew from church. He put me in sales. I was like 20 years old at the time. Started selling radio ads, fell in love with marketing. I changed my major to marketing at that point, and just kind of fell in love with the business. So did the only reasonable thing that college graduates do. I started an ad agency right out of college with no guaranteed income. So that'll make your parents proud and scared at the same time. And so started this agency, which was craziness at 22 years old, mainly helping local businesses with TV and radio and print. And I loved marketing ideas. I loved marketing that worked. I kind of became a student of Jay Abraham and Dan Kennedy and some of these direct response marketing experts. And so really built an agency, helping mainly local clients and some outside of the area. And then in 2004, started doing some SEO and really fell in love with search marketing and just the impact that it had. And so then I guess it was about 2010, a friend of mine, a guy that I'd done some business with in the past, Chris Brewer, and we went to Dan Kennedy conference together. We started talking about kind of spitballing ideas. We decided to launch this little project together called Online Marketing Giant. We didn't think very long or hard about the name. It was just kind of, we threw it together. And it took off, man. We sold like 70 people on this certain optimization thing within a few months. And that's while we were both running other companies. And so then it just kind of took off and it kind of snowballed. And so everybody called us OMG, obviously much shorter, easier to say and easy to remember. And so started doing more e-commerce work. And so kind of launched the e-commerce division, which is OMG Commerce. And so we really have crafted a focus on primarily search-driven advertising. So SEO was kind of our first thing, but AdWords and Google Shopping. Google Shopping has been a huge driver of business for us, but also of success for our clients. And then that's branched out into some other things that are related, like YouTube and Google Display Network. And so that kind of combined our newer, love for search over the last 10 years or so with some of the older stuff I was doing back in the creative days of running an agency. And so that's kind of how it started. I've always been fascinated by what makes people respond, what headlines cause people to click and buy and what ads cause people to take action. And then I'm kind of addicted to seeing the results, seeing the conversions that come from a well-crafted campaign. And so that's kind of the quick story.
Very cool. So help our listeners, because I was thinking about this before we chatted, that in thinking, there's a lot of talk today in the digital world, online marketing, about a full funnel strategy and top of funnel, mid funnel, bottom of funnel. Help people correlate my vernacular of attracting, converting, and retaining into kind of a full funnel language, if you will, because I think that you're a good one to ask about this, because I think that this is something that's very top of mind and something that you talk about a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And we love this topic. I mean, this gets me fired up. When I spoke at Content and Commerce a few weeks ago now, that was the topic, building a full funnel dream team, as I like to call it, campaigns that kind of reach people at different stages of the shopping journey and pull them through to conversion. And so there are different ways people define funnels, right? We hear funnels a lot in marketing, but I'll just talk about the way we look at it in this context. So we're looking at shopping funnels, and kind of if you look at three main stages of the funnel, we're at the top, the broadest, widest point of the funnel. That's kind of the awareness phase. That's when someone's just beginning their research, just beginning to kind of consider, hey, what stroller do I want to buy? What iPhone case do I want to buy? What new laptop do I want to buy? Whatever. They're beginning to do their research and kind of just become aware of their options. The middle stage is kind of this evaluation stage where I'm doing some hardcore comparison. I'm maybe narrowing it down to 2 or 3 options, and I'm looking at all the pros and cons and things like that. And then at the very bottom, it's decision time, and that's when I'm going to get the wallet out and I'm going to buy. And so what we look at is how do we effectively attract people at those different stages with a message that resonates and with a system where we can kind of track people through the process, right? So we look at the top of the funnel when someone's just becoming aware or just kind of beginning to explore. So they're showing shopping intent, but they're not ready to buy today. So with that, we're looking at kind of more generic search queries. We're even looking at YouTube and Google Display Network, where someone may be going to Google or going into YouTube as an example and typing in iPhone case reviews, right? So I'm getting ready to buy the new iPhone. I want to see what case I want to buy. I'm just going to start watching videos. I'm going to watch the unboxing video of whatever. Or I'm looking to buy a mattress, and so I'm looking at best mattress, for people over the age of 45, whatever. So I'm starting just to research. So we want to reach someone there. And then through Google's technology of building lists and pixeling people, right? We want to then follow those people. And then as they get more serious, we want to show them maybe a YouTube ad or something. Then as they get more serious and now they're typing in, well, show me this particular, I'm looking for this size and this material of mattress. Now we want to maybe show a Google Shopping ad to that person. And so Google Shopping, those are the product listing ads, that has the image and price and title. And so now we're going to show them a Google Shopping ad. And then if they visit our site and they don't purchase, now we're going to remarket to them and just try to start moving them through the funnel. So we primarily focus on Google traffic channels. We're big believers in Facebook traffic as well. We use a partner agency for that. But we're looking at crafting, how do we reach people cost effectively at these different stages of the shopping funnel, and then continue to communicate with them until they convert. And so that's kind of what we're looking at. And then we also layer in some things there for repeat purchases and, for clients. We got a big client out of Wisconsin that sells coffee. They make amazing coffee. And so then we look at, okay, we build up these remarketing lists, people that have visited the site and people that have purchased and things like that. And we almost use that as an email list where we say, hey, okay, now the pumpkin spice coffee is being released, so let's run ads and target all our buyers and all our engaged visitors and things like that, and almost use those lists in Google almost like an email list. So that's kind of the quick rundown.
Very cool. When you think about, and I think that you alluded to it, first of all, for those of you who might not really clearly know the difference between PLAs and Google Shopping, my understanding is that they're one and the same. Is that correct, Brett? Yeah,
they're one and the same, exactly. So Google Shopping is more of the campaign type. Product listing ads are the ad units. But really people use the terms interchangeably. I use the terms interchangeably because most people do. So yeah, Google Shopping or product listing ads are one and the same. Yeah.
And you've really become an expert in Google Shopping. I mean, that's how I found you. You wrote a blog post that got published on Shopify that was just a really great article, explaining Google Shopping, explaining the opportunities on Google Shopping. And it's become a pretty big focus for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a huge focus, and I was first introduced to it about 2012, right when it shifted from a free model to a pay to play model, and had a good friend of mine who sells T-shirts. He kind of pulled me aside at an event and said, "Man, I'm doing the paid version of Google Shopping. I'm getting like a 10x return." And so anytime you hear something like that, your eyes light up and you get really excited. And so after that, man, I dove in and I started experimenting, kind of sharing with clients like, hey, let's try this, let's see how it works, and then started to test and learn. And yeah, we became very good at it. And I found that it was one of those channels that worked pretty well if you just turned it on. But then if you really focus on it, like if you looked at how do we craft the perfect title and how do we craft the perfect segmentation in our campaigns and how to, if we work a really good bidding strategy, then it could just blow up. And so yes, that's when I wrote the ultimate guide to Google Shopping that Shopify published, which I was super excited about, and that's been huge for our agency. And so, yeah, we continue to focus on Google Shopping because it's what really converts. People that click on those Google Shopping ads, those product listing ads, they're usually pretty serious shoppers. Doesn't mean they're going to buy today, but they're pretty serious shoppers. And so that's often kind of the core of this full funnel approach, right? We're still running YouTube ads. We're looking at text ads and generic search and maybe even Google Display Network. But at the core, Google Shopping is often what's driving most of the conversions at the end of the day. But if you only focus on Google Shopping, to go back to that funnel analogy, you'll have a really skinny funnel, right? Really, really skinny, not a very broad funnel. If you work in some of the other channels, you can expand that funnel and in the end get more people converting in total.
And when you're talking about expanding the top end of that funnel, you're just talking about getting more prospects introduced to your brand in that awareness phase, in that attraction phase, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Because what we've seen is so we've had some clients that come to us and say, hey, we just want to do Google Shopping. We hear you can get 300% return on ad spend, up to 800% return on ad spend. We just want to do Google Shopping. And we say, great. And so you can do that, and you're going to...
Let me interrupt. Yeah. I think that was me.
I think it was, yeah.
I think it was me. I mean, I'm for sure that guy. I'm like, hey, you're the expert. You wrote the guide, the ultimate guide to Google Shopping. I want to do just Google Shopping. And oh, by the way, I want a 500% return on ad spend. So
yeah, exactly. And we still see that. I mean, Google Shopping is becoming more competitive, just like anything else. Facebook is getting more competitive. We're still seeing kind of some new frontier-ish behavior on YouTube. Like YouTube can be super cheap if you do it the right way, but a lot of everything else is becoming more competitive, Google Shopping included. We're still seeing good returns. We're still seeing people that are getting great return on ad spend with Google Shopping, but it can be too narrow in its focus, right? So not every search query, so not every keyword someone types into Google returns a Google Shopping result, right? So Google decides when they show Google Shopping results and when they don't. It's not quite as clear as it is with text ads, where you can tell Google, hey, we want to bid on this exact keyword. With Google Shopping, it's more about crafting a feed, crafting a page, where Google crawls that and says, this product, this Boulder Band product is all about, active, an active headband, that type of thing. And so it can be too narrow, and we've seen that happen several times where Google Shopping works well, it gets conversions, you got a decent return on ad spend, but you hit a ceiling at some point where you're getting the impressions you're going to get, you're getting the conversions you're going to get, and so that's where you need to look at feeding the top of the funnel, and that's where we look at how do we get more people looking for you specifically? So, run a YouTube ad where then when instead of someone going to Google and just typing in iPhone case, now they're typing in your brand name of iPhone case because they want to see all of what you have to offer. They saw the YouTube ad, it was enough to make them look a little bit further. And so that's what we've seen. I use the iPhone case example because we have a client that sells those and screen protectors. And so we found after we did it wasn't a huge YouTube campaign, but we found after we ran that, their brand campaign, so the amount of people searching for them by name went up like 45%. And their conversions in their brand campaigns, which everybody knows, if you run a brand campaign, where you're targeting your own name in search, it just converts, crazy high. One of their campaigns had an 86% growth in conversions from their brand campaign. And so that was all fueled by this YouTube campaign, which was very top of funnel, which didn't get direct conversions, because that's not necessarily what it's about, but it led people then to say, okay, I gotta find out what Tech Armor is all about, and so then they searched more and converted later.
Brett, what type of client is an ideal client for Google for you? If you could, I know that you have clients across all different verticals, all different kinds of industries. I mean, obviously they're all in e-commerce, but all different types of products that service different verticals. What is a great client for you that you can just really ramp up the spend and continue to get a great ROI for them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think let me kind of frame the answer this way, where I'll kind of show that regardless of what you sell, you should consider Google at least to some degree. So there are going to be some people who maybe wouldn't be an ideal client for us, but they should still consider Google, where your product is maybe not all that search driven, right? So we've had some clients that like boutique clothing as an example, where maybe they're selling these really hip and trendy blouses and jeans and skirts and stuff like that, where it's kind of hard to describe them in a search, right? How am I gonna describe this blouse if I'm the shopper? And I may not even know that it exists, so it's even harder for me to search. So when those particular cases, often it's easier to start with Facebook or kind of an awareness campaign, maybe YouTube or something like that. And then someone may start to search. But in those cases, we still recommend to people that, hey, you should probably set up at least your basic branded search campaign, get a basic Google Shopping campaign going, because there will be people that look for you by name if they see you in other places. And so my philosophy is you want to be anywhere your shoppers are, right? Because one thing we see all the time is if someone has a presence on Amazon, if someone has a presence on Facebook, that's going to lead to Google searches, right? Someone will see your product on Amazon and think, oh, what else do they offer? Or they'll see an ad on Facebook and wonder, okay, well, now how do I actually buy that? And they'll go to Google and search. So I think everybody should at least have a minimal presence, with search and shopping, everybody in e-commerce. But the ideal client for us is someone who is a little more search friendly, right? Where someone is looking for, hey, I want a silicone wedding ring, right? And we got a client that sells those, and they're doing amazingly well. Or I'm looking for this type of alternator for my truck, or I've got a 67 Chevy and I want a new bumper. So it's something where you have a need, you're likely going to go and search for it. And so those are the most ideal clients, because then we can really expand and we can really grow that account for that person, because there's usually a ton of upside right in the middle of the funnel, right in that heavy evaluation stage where I know I need a 1967 Chevy bumper, and so I'm just going to look for all the options. And so we can really grow search and shopping right there in the middle where it converts a lot. But then we can also go upper funnel and start to look at, okay, what are people, where can we identify people in YouTube as an example that they're searching for, restoration ideas for 67 Chevys, right? And what I love about YouTube right now is that you can target keywords. So you can look at what someone is searching for in YouTube. So I'm looking for a solution, I'm looking for ideas, I'm looking for how-tos, whatever. You can target people based on that. So we have a client that sells kind of restoration parts, and they do phenomenally well with Google traffic. But that's something, if a product is search friendly, then you can usually, explode the middle of the funnel, but also attract people at the top of the funnel, and it usually just works really well. We also prefer someone who's kind of growth minded, so someone who's really looking to push and expand, and also someone who's got a compelling brand, And I know you were talking about this in your show with is it Cozy Earth? Is that the bamboo bedding?
Cozy Earth, yes.
Yeah, love that interview, by the way, and phenomenal product. But building a brand and building something long term, I think that is the key to long term success in e-commerce. We had a group come to us one time who was just selling stuff they found on AliExpress. So just finding someone on AliExpress, throwing up a Shopify store and reselling it for marking it up like 20 times or something crazy. And that's not really, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but that's not really sustainable. That doesn't build a brand. So someone who has a brand, has a compelling story. What's your reason for existing? Why would I buy this bamboo bedding over just the stuff I can buy at the store? But then something that's search friendly. So kind of that marrying of search friendliness with compelling brand and offer. That to me is like a super winning combination for an e-commerce store, and we can usually just blow those up.
That's awesome. Because of your background in SEO, and because we just got back and you spoke on stage at Content and Commerce, which you did a great job,
thanks,
by the
man.
way. I had a great crowd there listening in and taking notes feverishly. I just can't fully wrap my brain around the convergence. I mean, it's getting through my thick skull. Let me just put it that way. But being able to use content effectively, and that could be white papers, it could be tips, exercise tips, diet tips, sharing other blog posts that add value. I mean, it's a plethora of things that we can do. Are you seeing clients that are able in that awareness phase, using keyword-laden posts, whether it be organically or driving people via paid traffic to a downloadable report or tips, or even to a YouTube video that adds a ton of value, that then you can retarget and get back in front of those people? Who's doing the best? And I know you might not be able to share the client name, but are there best practices? Are there people in your client mix that is really doing a great job? And if so, are there any tips that you could share with us in that regard?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question, and I love the kind of the convergence of content and commerce, and that's kind of the whole theme of that conference. And I thought Russ Henneberry and team did a great job putting that together. But I think you have to kind of look at who you are at your core. What business are you in? And it's one of those things where we've read articles. I think you and I even talked about it several months ago, where that some people that are doing content marketing, they're doing like multiple blog posts a day, so if you're the Washington Post or something, you're doing hundreds of posts a day. Or and I even hear some other people that are trying to monetize via physical products, they're doing multiple posts a day. So we talk about, is that what I need to do? So here I am, I'm selling these really awesome headbands for active women primarily, or I'm selling these really affordable, functional, but really good screen protectors. Do I need to write a blog post a day? And the answer is not necessarily, right? And so one of the ways that Russ Henneberry frames it, and I think this is awesome from Digital Marketer, is that are you a content first company, or are you a commerce first company? And so as an example, Digital Marketer owns Survival Life, which is primarily a content play first. So they write all kinds of articles about, for preppers and survivalists and, people like that. And then occasionally then they'll throw out, hey, but, here, buy this cool knife, or buy this cool whatever, this cool flashlight, tactical flashlight. But they're all their traffic and stuff is based on the content first. So good content drives traffic, builds an audience, and then we sell them something. There are other people, and I'll use another good friend of mine, Ezra Firestone, as kind of an example. And he and I are working on some training materials together, and we run their YouTube ads and Google Shopping ads. But he has some great content, and Cindy Joseph, who's kind of the face of Boom, which is a skincare line for those that don't know. She creates great video content. They're active on social media, so they're doing content for sure. One of the things they do is they use what's called a pre-sell engagement page, right? Where they've got this, it's 5 makeup tips for older women. And so then they target people, over the age of 50, they send them to this pre-sell engagement page. It really just walks through 5 tips, and it talks about, the materials or the ingredients used in skincare. And it's very educational. It's very helpful. It's the ads that get people to click initially are really compelling. But the whole idea of that pre-sale engagement page, it isn't that, not that many people are going to click on that and then buy immediately, but they get to that page, you can now pixel them, you can remarket to them on through YouTube, remarket to them on Facebook, and then get them to convert. And so I think you can look at it this way, where you can say, okay, I can't be the company that creates a post a day. That's going to kill me, and that sounds like torture, and I never want to do that. But I could create one killer piece, one piece that would really set my brand apart. It would be educational. It would be something that people want to read. So it's it's addressing something that the market is hungry for. Like 5 tips as you begin to age and your skin changes. What should you do with about makeup? And so then focus on that, but then kind of tie things together. So this goes back to the full funnel where okay, if that's at the top of the funnel, then we need to get targeted clicks, but we need to get cheap clicks at the top, right? We need to get some inexpensive but yet targeted exposure, get people to that page. Now we pixel them, we put them on remarketing lists, and we begin to show them, ads as now they begin to shop in more earnest. So that's kind of the way that I would look at it. Is, are you a commerce company first? Is it more about, we've got great products and we're a product company, and yes, we want to also educate and create a good experience? Or are we kind of a publisher, kind of a media company that also sells products? And my guess is probably most of the people listening to this are product companies first, they're commerce first. And so I would focus more on, hey, let's create some great pieces that, you don't need a ton of them, but what are some foundational pieces that set you apart, that you can drive traffic to, that people will link to and share, that can also, have some SEO benefit to them. And let's focus on quality instead of quantity, and then we'll grow, we'll grow from there. one other quick thing I'll share, hopefully not getting too long-winded here, but one of the things we did is as we launched OMG Commerce, so our e-commerce division of OMG, I wanted to grow SEO as quick as I could. And I knew that I could create our own blog and write on omgcommerce.com. But then it takes so much effort then to like get people to show up. And, when I first turned the site on, we had exactly 0 visitors, so I had to grow that. But then I thought, man, why don't I just partner with like everybody that has the ear of my clients? So Search Engine Journal, SEMrush, and then ultimately Shopify. Shopify took a little bit longer, but I just worked on, let me create a handful of really good pieces that these groups will publish. Then when they publish it, they promote it, they've got the audience, and it links back to our site. So we went from, like a 0 domain authority to really pretty high. It's kind of fun to watch, just because we created great content, shared it with the right people that had the ear and the attention of our audience, and started to grow that way. And then now we're beginning to, we got the podcast. We're also going to start launching our own articles on our own site, because now we've got built-in traffic. So I think it's identifying who you are and then what are your goals with the content. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. I love it. How long did it take for you to get published on SEMrush and some of those other sites that ended up driving traffic back to your site?
Yeah, it's a great question. What's really interesting, and I'm sure you've experienced this too, even the online community, even the e-commerce community is still driven by relationships to a certain degree. So I think every single one of those started with some kind of relationship. So the Search Engine Journal, I knew another guy who was published, and he kind of put in a good word for me. And then I worked really hard, and I created a compelling, but pretty good piece, submitted to them. They loved it. With Shopify, that actually... I was on a good friend of mine's podcast, Austin Bronner and Chad Vaenigs, the e-commerce influence podcast. This was like 2 years ago, maybe. Was on their podcast, and one of the directors of marketing for Shopify was listening, and they reached out to me. So they said, hey, we've been thinking about Google Shopping, been thinking about a guide. You mentioned you're working on one. Let's collaborate. And so that was pretty cool. And that ended up then taking like a year from there, from that initial contact to get it done. But that's the way it goes in bigger companies. So I think it is about relationships. It's about being strategic. It's about putting in the work too. It's about grinding and. Yeah, I did an interview with a friend of mine, Steven Sashin from Zero Shoes, and he talked about when he was trying to get on Shark Tank, and they did successfully get on Shark Tank. But he sent emails and he created a video, and he was just like he was relentless, in trying to get the ear of the people that choose who goes on that show. And so I think that's part of it too. You got to kind of hustle and build real relationships too.
Right. It's funny when I was interviewing Halfdan Hansen of Jens Hansen earlier in the week. He's out of New Zealand, and Jens Hansen, his father, actually made with his hands in 1999. He got commissioned to make the One Ring of the Lord of the Rings. So.
No way.
Yeah, they're a jeweler, and
wow,
and they have a physical store. They've been in business. I think the store's been open since '77, but his father was making jewelry since 1960. Got a scholarship from the Queen of New Zealand, and he was very acclaimed, very talented jeweler, but. Halfdan and I were talking, and oftentimes people want to get into e-commerce to get away from employees, and coworkers and bosses, and oftentimes they think that they can get away from customers.
So true.
We were just talking that the most successful e-commerce brands are those that don't hide behind a monitor, that actually pick up the phone, that have real people on live chat on their store, that genuinely want to resolve issues. Because I don't care how good you are, there's always going to be issues. whether you messed up, or the post office messed up, or UPS messed up, or your supplier messed up, we're always apologizing and trying to make things right if you care. And not to go off on a big rant, but it's one of my frustrations with Amazon. And I do want to talk to you about running Amazon ads.
Yeah,
briefly.
absolutely.
But Amazon has positioned itself to be the company for the consumer, and although in a lot of ways they are, the reality is for the merchant that is trying to sell on Amazon, they actually make it very difficult to be about the consumer, and they just handle the customer support piece, and they don't allow merchants really to engage with the consumer and truly make sure that they're happy, especially in the physical product space, which I guess is really all they sell other than digital downloads and videos. But to be good at e-commerce, you really need to stand behind your brand, and you actually need to work with people. And if you're going to get any size, have any size of revenue, you're going to have employees. Shocker. You're gonna,
yes.
And you want employees because you don't want to do all this stuff yourself. So
absolutely not. Yeah, you want that. You want that scale. You want to find people that are better than you at certain tasks.
Yeah.
To take care of customers. And yeah, I'm always amazed. I don't know why. I guess it happens so much. I shouldn't be shocked or amazed anymore. But people that approach e-commerce as if it's not a real business, or as if real business principles don't apply, right? So I can take shortcuts. I can work really short hours. I don't have to answer emails. But really, man, it all comes down to customer service and relationships and doing the right thing and being available. And even for products that are not huge ticket items, like skincare as an example. If you can offer chat, and if you offer phone support, and if you connect with your customers, you can sell so much more. And so that's where I think, in the future, it's going to be brands. It's going to be people that build a community. It's going to be hard work to survive in the Amazon world. If you want to have some channels outside of Amazon, you're going to have to work and be really customer centric and customer focused and create these great experiences, both from an education standpoint and a shopping experience. You're not going to be able to compete with Amazon based on low prices or faster delivery, but you can create better content and curation of really unique products and education and really connecting with the customer through chat and phone and all the ways that it's harder, to connect with Amazon through some of those channels. So yeah, got to treat it like a real business, no doubt.
Something I want to just touch on because I think that it's applicable. I'm starting to read a book called Deep Work by Cal Newport. He actually had a TEDx talk. If anybody hasn't watched it, you ought to. Are you familiar with this book or this author?
I'm not. He says Deep Work?
It's called Deep Work.
Check it out.
When you wrote the Ultimate Guide to Google Shopping, and when you said that you just hunkered down and really did a good job writing for SEMrush and Search Engine Journal and then ultimately Shopify, and I'm sure you're continuing to publish articles and things.
Yep.
Do you talk to me about your process? Because I think I know. I'm kind of leading you a little bit. Just tell me about how you produce that content and really come up with a well-written, in-depth, researched piece.
Yeah, that's great. I think, and I enjoy writing, so that helps. Now, because I'm so busy, because I'm the CEO of the company and running the company and, working on staffing decisions and training and speaking and all kinds of stuff that, I get crunched for time, and that makes it harder because writing, man, it's creative work and you got to be focused. And so it does take some energy and some attention. But I like to often start with a headline first. And the reason I do that is because I want to be able to say, okay, what problem am I answering? What solution am I presenting? What's this burning need or this desire or this, what's a question that someone's got in their mind that they're either actively asking or that they don't even know that they're asking, but as soon as they hear it, it's going to resonate. So that's kind of like with the full funnel approach, and how last click attribution is all wrong, which we can get into that later if we have time. But anyway, like that stuff really resonates with people, even if they weren't maybe consciously asking the question. So I often like to start with a headline because that's going to help kind of shape and focus everything else. But then from there, it's more about an outline for me. So I think about, okay, if I'm talking about Google Shopping, should I create a list? Because people do like lists. People like 5 tips, 5 problems, 5 things to avoid, whatever. Can I create a list of really compelling items? And so I go from headline to outline and kind of filling that out, and I'll just kind of begin to work my way through it. And then as I've got the outline, then I start banging out the content. And I think, for me, what works well is I'll go almost stream of consciousness where, if I've got bullet point 1 for, how to, what are some Amazon ad mistakes people make? The first one is, their lazy keyword strategy. So I'll write that sub headline, and then I'll just start cranking out the content, just stream of consciousness. And then I'll go back and edit and make it shorter, clearer, punchier, easier to digest. So I think that process works pretty well, and then so I go from headline to outline to content, and then I usually have a few people in the office read it, and I say, hey, read this for content. Don't read it for grammar yet. We'll do that later. Read it for content. Like, does this put you to sleep? Does this excite you? Is it clear? Is it compelling? And then I get that feedback, and then after that's kind of cleared up, then we got a couple of people that are gifted at editing, and we'll find all my many grammar mistakes, which I'm terrible at, and I don't see them either. So I have someone edit from there, and that's kind of what that looks like. Also, then kind of in the outline stage, I skipped a step. When I'm doing the outline stage, that's when I'm also going to be looking for, okay, what quotes can I use from people? What tidbits from other articles? What screenshots can I kind of put in there? So with the outline, then I just start to symbol what's this other data that I need to put in there, because I don't want it to just be my opinion. I want to have some other hard data in there, and then I go through the rest of that process.
It's hard work, though, right? I mean, you're being bombarded. People are trying to come in your office. They're trying to text you. They're trying to tweet you. They're trying to Facebook message you. Try to call you, and just shutting off all of that, even to get a couple hours of dedicated focus. It's hard work.
It's really hard. You have to kind of fight for it, and but I found for me anyway, it's pretty rewarding. Like I just created a piece about Amazon ads. And when I got done, I was pretty fired up. I was like, hey, I think this piece is going to do all right. So I was going back and forth with my Amazon specialist, and he was loving it. And so I got kind of a charge out of that. But yeah, fighting for the time. I mean, if you don't fight for the time, it's not going to happen, because they're Skype's blowing up all the time. Emails are coming in constantly. So, and yeah, for me, it's a couple hours. I mean, it takes a couple hours of focused energy, or like with the guide. I mean, the guide, geez, that was like 50 pages. That took a couple months, but yeah, just focus time, and then following a process. And I think beginning to trust the process. I think one thing that's intimidating about writing is people they try to go from blank page to finished work in one step, and that doesn't happen. So trust the process, take the steps, and eventually you have a pretty solid piece. Very cool.
And this could be applicable for a blog post, for a white paper, for all of these things that we've talked about. It could even be the script or the outline for a educational video, depending upon what your niche is. It seems like you've got this nailed, and I know that you've been in the GKIC Dan Kennedy world and Jay Abraham. Are there any particular resources that you have run across that have just really solidified this process that you can trust now for creating this great content?
Man, that's a good question. So I did some copywriting courses back in the day, and to be totally transparent, I don't consume a lot of how-to content, how to create content. I don't really consume that much anymore. I kind of know the process pretty well. I know my voice that I want to use, and it's more but now it's more about listening, like listening to the customer and what's interesting, what's pressing, and like with the full funnel idea, okay, like how do we create these full funnel resources for people to consume? But for someone getting started, I know Copy Blogger is really good. I like to, if you study direct response marketing, where the whole goal of the ad is to get someone to take response. I love that angle because I think it teaches you about the emotion that's evoked as you're writing, and how to kind of tap into that. I think for the most part, if you can write more like you're writing a sales page rather than just an educational piece, like don't get the term paper language going. This is just my opinion. Don't write like you're writing a term paper for school, right? Because that's usually going to feel and sound boring.
Right.
Even if your goal is not to close or make a hard sale right now, still use some of those principles of evoking emotion and speaking to benefit and getting to the core of an issue with your writing. That's really important. So there is a Dan Kennedy book it's dated now but still good. It's called The Ultimate Sales Letter. Like that really goes through some good writing principles. There's a great old book. I was just talking to somebody else about this the other day, and I don't remember why, but Scientific Advertising Methods, I believe, by John Caples.
Yes.
Old book, fascinating. And this is one of the books where I fell in love with marketing because I read this book. Where he would test headlines, and he would show that this was back in the coupon days where they had to just measure, the number of coupons that came into the store. But, changing one headline versus another headline and getting like a 1900% increase in response. So rest of the ad was identical, just a different headline, 19 times the response. So stuff like that just that made my head explode, and I was just fascinated by good marketing. So I would look at some of those pieces, and then also to kind of maybe take the edge off a little bit. You don't have to be that good of a writer, right? I still click on articles that are posted on Inc. or that are posted on Fast Company, and I think to myself, this isn't that great of a piece, right? It's not like this masterful. I'm feeling all these emotions and I'm super excited, but it was educational. Like the 5 bullet points were good, and I walked away and I enjoyed it. So, learn some of these writing principles, but you don't have to become. Not every piece has to be a masterpiece.
That's good. Brett, what's the worst mistake you've made in business?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. You'd mentioned that you were going to ask me that. I was hoping you were going to ask me that. So yeah, really, really great question. I think the thing that we did a decent amount in the beginning, and this was a big mistake, is we tried to do too much. Right, so I enjoy chaos a little bit. Maybe that's why I have so many children.
Yeah, how many kids do you have? Like 8?
So we do. My wife and I have 8 kids. Eight
awesome.
Kids. Was not necessarily the goal. We were always thinking like 4 or 5. So we're thinking pretty big family, and then we just overachieved, man. So we have eight kids, and so it's chaos at home, and run a business, and can be chaotic. So I do like being busy. If things are slow and I get bored, I'm not at my best. So I don't function well there. But in the beginning, it was like my business partner and I, we thought, man, we're smart marketing guys. We can figure out anything. So you need landing page copy, we'll write your landing page copy. You need a new website design, we'll design the whole thing. We'll find developers, we'll pull them in and develop. You need whatever, anything marketing related, we'll do it all. We really started to find that, man, we're being pulled in like a million different directions. We're not able to be great at all of this. We found, hey, we're really good at search, like search and driving targeted traffic. We can crush that. And so we started to get rid of some of those other things. We stopped website design. We even stopped copywriting. Like, I enjoy writing copy, but I really only write copy for me. I don't do well writing copy for other people. And so we really just started focusing on, okay, this is what we're really good at, and we're going to grow it. And we're going to build a team around that, and the team is going to be focused. And so, I think you also have to be open to what's next and how is your industry evolving, and man, the agency world is really evolving. But I still think you have to focus, and there's power in focusing. And I think if you look at e-commerce brands, you see the same thing. Like Bonobos started with just really great khakis. We're going to make these awesome khakis that men love, and then we'll expand from there, right? So for us, it was, okay, well, let's cut all this other stuff that we're really, to be honest, pretty mediocre at, and let's do the things that we can be world-class at. And then, as our agency is growing, now we're able to add more capabilities. So we're so great at search and shopping. And then we were like, hey, you know what? We really, because of our background, we know video pretty well. So if we bring in some good video creative people, then we can crush these video campaigns as well. So that then it makes sense. You go to your core, go to what you're really good, and then look at expanding when you're healthy enough to expand, when you got the team to expand, and look at it that way. So for us, it was really a focus issue. That was our biggest mistake in the early days.
Nice, very good. We're not going to have time to talk about your Amazon footprint and what you guys do there, but for our benefit, do you have the Amazon piece published yet on your site, or is it?
It is not published yet, but it will be coming soon, and it's going to be something along the lines of 3 biggest Amazon sponsored product ad mistakes to avoid. That's a super long title, so I'm still working on that. But it's basically the 3 biggest mistakes we see over and over again with sponsored product ads. And so, be looking for that. I'll let you know as soon as it's live. Maybe I'll tweet it out and share it and stuff like that. But it will be forthcoming in the next few weeks, probably.
Okay, great. So I want to ask you a couple more questions, but before we do, where can people learn more about you? Where can they connect with you?
Yeah, best place is to go to omgcommerce.com. And so you can kind of check everything out there. I am on LinkedIn, of course, somewhat active on Twitter. I'm getting better there. I kind of took a hiatus for about a year and a half or so, but I'm back on Twitter. So that's at BrettCurry on Twitter. But yeah, omgcommerce.com, that's the best place to go.
Nice. And there's 2 T's in Brett. So
yes.
If you could give somebody, an entrepreneur, advice on the one thing, I think I might already know where you're going to go with it, but one thing that would increase your likelihood, the probability of long-term success, what would that be?
Yeah, I love this question too. So I don't want to give the exact same answer that I gave before. I do think that focus is a big part of it, right? You've got to focus on what you can be world class at. But I think the other thing, and this is something that as entrepreneurs we're often bad at, I think you have to enjoy the journey, right? You have to enjoy the climb. I was listening to Gary Vee, who I really respect. I don't agree with him on everything, but I like his energy and some of his perspective. But he talked about he loves the climb. He loves the challenge, the day in challenge of how do I grow this company? How do I grow this brand? And so I think in business and in life, you have to enjoy the process. You have to enjoy the journey, so to speak. I like the climb better because I think that more accurately describes it. Like, it's work, man. It's work. You got to put your heart and soul into it. It takes energy, it takes effort and focus, or else you're going to fall. You use this climbing metaphor. But I have to remind myself of that pretty frequently. I think as business owners, we get so focused on here's where I'm trying to get. So this is my end goal. I want to be at 5 million or 10 million or 20 million in revenue, whatever the case may be. That's all we think about. And I'm a huge believer in goals. I'm a huge believer in stretch goals. We have to do it. But I think we also have to enjoy the grind, right? We have to enjoy today. Like, how am I going to, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go through my writing process, and I'm going to enjoy it. And I'm going to work with my team, and I'm going to enjoy that. I think sometimes this happens with parents as well. I do this, and I've had some older, wiser people counsel me here, but we think sometimes, man, if I could just get through the diaper stage, right? Which we've been changing diapers for like 15 years, just side note. But if I could just get through the diaper stage, and it will all be okay. And then we realize, well, you know what? Actually, teenagers are maybe even a little bit harder than people than kiddos that are in diapers. But beginning to enjoy today, right? So have these goals, be relentless about those goals, but also enjoy the process and enjoy the climb. Because what we get to do as entrepreneurs, it's pretty cool. Like, it's hard work. It takes all of us. It takes everything we've got, but it's also pretty fun, right? And like the challenge, we should get excited about the challenge. So I think in addition to focus, you've got to enjoy the climb and the process.
Yeah. I just had a conversation with my uncle today, and he's like an older brother or another father, and he's just somebody that I so respect. And when I got off the call, he's going through some health challenges right now, and I told my wife, I said, you know what, So the couple things that has come out of our conversation today, Brett, that makes me reflect on my call with my uncle, and it's just how important relationships are. And not only do we have to enjoy the climb, which I love that analogy because, yeah, it's a journey, but like a journey feels like I'm just wandering in the wilderness, which sometimes in business that is what it feels like.
Feels like an
But
vacation, yeah.
yeah, but the climb, I love that. It is much better. So thank you for sharing that with me. But enjoy the people that you're with.
Yep.
Like really be present. And that's your kids in every stage, because we got 3 kids, not 8, but
Three is a lot. It's busy. It's still busy.
yeah, and enjoy the relationships. And I have a hard time being present. Like I think about the future a lot, and so I'm always fighting with myself to get back and enjoy today. Just be in the moment, be present,
Yep.
and enjoy the climb. So, man, thank you so much for imparting these nuggets of wisdom. I will tell you, there's a lot of people that I've talked to, and there's actually a lot of people that are very talented, in managing Google campaigns and things. But if you like to work with good people that are good Midwestern salt of the earth type of people, yeah. I would just encourage you listening to just connect with Brett and his team, and whether they can help you or not, they'll tell you, and I appreciate that. And I really enjoyed our conversation. We could talk a lot about Amazon. We could talk a lot about a lot of Google Display, GDN, but I think that this has been just a good, comprehensive conversation just about all the different stages of the funnel: attracting, converting, and retaining, remarketing, and all these different things. And so check out Brett. OMG Commerce, that's O M as in Mary G commerce.com. And Brett, man, I appreciate you. Thanks for being on today.
Yeah, JD, awesome job as host, and this was a ton of fun, man. We covered some traffic stuff, some business philosophy stuff. I had a blast. It was a good time.
Very cool. All right. Share and rate our podcast if you would, please. And until next time, again, JD Krause, eCommerce in the Trenches. Thanks, Brett.
Thanks, JD.
Thanks for listening to eCommerce in the Trenches, brought to you by Unific. Visit unific.com to start turning your receipts into revenue through highly segmented order confirmation campaigns and more.